My name is Yin Chang, and
I'm Moonlin Tsai. Well, I'm 35 and I'm a restaurateur.
and I am a podcaster, and also I'm a storyteller.
Amazing. Perfect. And tell me, what were you two doing? What was Heart of Dinner before the pandemic, and what has it evolved into?
Oh, you want to?
Yeah, so back in 2015 when we first started dating, we were in LA. And right around that time is when I left my last job. And I was just feeling a little like, and missing my mom especially, and realizing that LA was a really difficult city to acclimate to. And so we're talking about, like, why don't we invite people over to our downtown LA loft and we can cook comfort meals that remind us of our parents or what they made us. And so back then in 2015, Heart of Dinner was a supper club with strangers over conversation, no technology, and then the proceeds that we would get from that would be donated to a nonprofit such as No Kid Hungry at that time.
And then fast forward to 2020 in March. We had been wanting to do more of those Heart of Dinner gatherings, but we couldn't because when we moved to New York, there's no space. Ours is a 250 square foot shoebox, so that's okay. And the pandemic came around. So we were experiencing racism firsthand. People were leaning in towards us, saying really profane, inappropriate things. And at the same time, we were hearing news about elderly near our neighborhoods facing food insecurity, and also racism towards our own elderly who remind us. Oh, sure.
There's a truck. Okay, so we're gonna do that again.
You can start with the racism, facing racism.
Okay.
Facing racism,
Okay.
like from that thought, that's
Okay.
what the truck started. And
And of course it stopped right there.
there's a red light. Sorry.
Okay.
No worries.
So yeah, if you want to say, just start at the part where, pandemic started, we started to see more.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's almost
Okay. I think we're good.
All right. So in March of 2020 last year, the pandemic was just announced, and right around the time we were dealing with racism.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Don't silence our voices.
One more time.
Okay.
Finish the charm.
Okay. In 2020, in March of last year, they were announcing the pandemic last spring, and we were dealing with racism firsthand. People were leaning in, saying really nasty, profane things, inappropriate racist things. At the same time, we were hearing news about our elderly in the neighborhood facing food insecurity, and elderly being violently attacked at the same time. And these are elderly who remind us of our own grandparents, like my own grandma who raised me growing up, and your own grandma as well.
It's heartbreaking.
And we were just wondering, what could we do? What resources do we have? Who can we pull together and do something about this? We were feeling a bit helpless, actually very helpless and frustrated and incredibly upset and angry at the same time, while also feeling fear. So we wanted to channel.
So we wanted to channel. Go ahead.
So we wanted to channel all of that energy into something that what we thought was productive, in a way that made our elderly feel loved and feel the warmth of a community, of entire support from people around the world. So from there we thought, okay, we can turn Heart of Dinner, since we're not actively working on Heart of Dinner, we're unable to host those supper clubs anymore. Why don't we just turn Heart of Dinner into a initiative, the Loving Chinatown initiative, where we would use the same ethos, which is providing a space that counters isolation and loneliness, and funnel that into our elderly community. So from there, we ended up reaching out to
Our restaurant friends who, these are amazing humans that at the time their businesses were suffering a lot, but then they heard about this initiative and they just jumped in immediately, no questions asked. A bunch of the restaurant partners donated the first 2 meals out of their hearts. And from then we just started growing and growing, and at the peak of the pandemic we were servicing, I think, 10 social service organizations, and then working with 10 independent small restaurants in the local community.
Yeah.
Amazing. And you start in March, right? And what does it start as? I mean, size-wise? And then what was your goal and did you get there?
When we first started, it was just the two of us. We mobilized quite quickly, so we're like, oh, what do we do? She was on the phone with social service organizations and calling and just asking, could you use some meals? And I still remember, I think the story that we always like to share is on the phone with them, like, oh, how many meals, can you take on? And they're like, well, how many meals can you make? We're like, no, it's
We
fine.
got this. You tell us how many.
Tell us, and we'll make it happen. They're like, well, in one building alone, we have 1,000 seniors that are hungry, and we have multiple buildings.
Yeah, we were
So-
humbled very quickly.
Very
We-
humbled, very fast. It was.
Honestly, at the same time, it's devastating to hear, right? Because we were thinking, oh, the two of us preparing 100 to 200 meals, we could do it. But then to hear the reality check of having one building, just one of their multiple buildings, 1,500 senior residents who are facing food insecurity, that was a devastating reality check for us. And we have to say that we were discussing at home how we realized, wow, we grew up so privileged for where we were individually. She's from San Diego, I'm from New York. We never had to worry about food. That was not something that was ever in our heads. And to think that this is something that, again, our own grandparents could feel or fear.
So we started off cooking these meals at home. We were making 200.
I want you to say that again without the loud part.
Yeah.
We started cooking these meals at home. Yeah.
So we started cooking these meals out at home, 200, and Yin was writing 我们在想你和我爱你, which is we're thinking of you and we love you in Chinese on the to-go containers, hundreds of them. And really cute.
So
No, it's New York City, it's all good.
that's so cute though. I want that. I want what you just said. That's so cute.
The whole message.
Okay.
So I remember watching her draw these big eyeballs and lashes, and it was just so cute. And she posted on Instagram, and then people were reaching out. Friends were like, "Oh, we want to be a part of this. What can we do? How can we help?" And it was incredible. You just put it online, and then reaching out and "Hey, if you want to be a part of this, send notes over." We thought we were gonna get maybe 100 if we were lucky. We've been getting notes from all over the world now. I think upwards of over 50,000 notes from everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, from everywhere. Should we do from the part, because it was completely
Yeah,
cut
say
off,
the
right? So we'll
message
start.
too, the message
and
too.
cooking, and then I'll jump in about, we could say, you saw Yin writing the notes.
Okay.
Because they missed the part about what it says, 我们爱你, 我们想你.
Okay,
So I'll jump
yeah.
in after
Okay.
that.
So we were cooking the meals at home, 200 to start off with, and Yin, I watched her drawing and writing.
我们在想你和我们爱你, which means in Chinese, we are thinking of you and we love you. It's a very inclusive message to let them know there's lots of people who support them and are thinking of them and care for them. So we were writing those one by one on the to-go containers in black Sharpie markers.
First iteration.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, we were pulling all-nighters too, just writing all night just to make sure we would cover all hundreds of the to-go containers. And then,
What did you want to make people feel when they received those notes?
oh, we wanted them to feel that we had their back. Sure.
Okay.
We wanted them to feel that we have their support, that we have their backs. I'm sure we were both saying they must have heard the news about the racism, about the violence, about the attacks, and especially towards their own communities and their own age groups too. It's terrifying. And so just thinking of that and thinking again of our own elderly grandparents, what would they love? And for us, we're all about love letters in our own relationship. That's how also we grew up, with little love notes from our family members. That makes us feel warm. That makes us feel loved and cared for. So we wanted to.
Your mom is so sweet. Whenever we go over, we'll wake up and she'll have notes written on the bathroom window, "Hi, honeys, have a great morning. There's breakfast downstairs."
Doesn't matter how old we are.
Yeah, and even,
It's really sweet.
even throughout our relationship, even now, we'll surprise each other. We'll go on trips together.
So what's your first and last name and what's your title?
My name is Steve May. I am the director of CPC's Brooklyn Community Services, the Chinese American Planning Council.
And tell me how you guys work with Heart of Dinner.
So I think once when the pandemic happened back in March of 2020, CPC, we're a multi-social service organization, And I think really overnight we turned into a kind of a food pantry, because like that's what community members needed at that time. Folks were not getting the food, grocery stores were closed, folks were being laid off, and we just happened to come across Heart of Dinner, and we connected. And I know Yin and Moon Lin and Heart of Dinner, the folks from Heart of Dinner, they were doing a lot of fundraising to try to get meals, culturally appropriate meals to older adults in New York City. So we're able to kind of really connect with them.
And what has it looked like for you? What do you do every week?
I think for myself, some of my colleagues here, as you can see, especially my colleague Michael, our office, like we didn't necessarily shut down, but like we closed for in-person services. So we were all really working remotely at that time. And I think one of the things we wanted to do was kind of really get out, see how we can help.
Say that again?
Yeah, so I think, our office at the time back in March when we closed down, not necessarily, closed shop, but we were working remotely. Our office were closed for in-person services. So we had this opportunity to still kind of really go out, be able to take some time to volunteer, to deliver food door to door, some of the older adults that are homebound. So that gave us an opportunity to kind of really leave our homes for one, but also kind of really have that human interaction with some of the folks that homebound, and especially older adults who can easily feel socially isolated. So that's an opportunity for us to kind of help out.
Could you just say in a sentence, like, every Wednesday I get in my car and I stop at X number of homes to drop off meals or whatever?
I think we deliver about...
Sorry, could you say I want to get it across to the camera that you get in your car and make these deliveries?
Sure.
So if you could just say, like, I drive my car to this many spots every Wednesday.
Sure. So every week I get in my car, and we drive to about 10 spots into the East New York, Williamsburg area to drop off meals.
Perfect. And what kind of reaction do you get from the people that you drop off these bags to?
Some of our community members are generally really excited, and I think a lot of these meals are very culturally appropriate. Whether it's like noodles, like rice dishes, so they're very happy about getting that type of food.
What is it like for you to see their reaction? Like at this, a couple stops ago, she got almost emotional talking about how you have become family for her. What does that feel like for you?
I think it's very meaningful for us. Obviously, it's a lot of time. Obviously, it's just kind of like devote every week. But
sorry, could you say that again? Because of the car, I'm so sorry.
Honestly, for us, it's like we're excited to see really older adults like happy, our community members happy. With human services for a reason. I think it's very rewarding to see someone that's excited and happy and welcomed you like a family member.
Awesome. And do you feel sometimes like you might be the only person that they're seeing like all week or for a few days?
Some, for sure. Especially like the couple that we just met before, like we are essentially the only people they see.
Wait, sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have you say that again because this is important. Yeah. Say it again.
I think definitely some community members for sure were the only people that they see, especially the couple we just met with. I think myself, Michael, and my colleagues are the only people that they've seen for the last 10 months. Their children, their family, all out of state in California and New Jersey, and so they've had a hard time like really connecting with family members. How
does that feel for you?
It's rewarding, but also I think it's tough to see folks like feeling a little bit lonely, feeling isolated.
One more time, it's fulfilling, but it's tough to see.
It's definitely fulfilling. I think that's part of why we do this, but it's also very tough to see a lot of the older adults feeling lonely, feeling isolated. So anything that we can do to kind of really help them with that, it's very much something that we want to do.
And Yin told me you've been doing this rain or shine, no matter where the pandemic has been, up or down, you've been doing this. What keeps bringing you out here? It's
really just again, we're in human services. It's our job to really kind of do this, and just being able to bring meals and being able to bring a smile to the faces of some of these folks that we work with. It's very rewarding.
Hi, I'm
You look at me. Look at me, not the camera.
Oh, good. Perfect. It's easier to look at you. Hi, my name is Ian. I am the owner of Van Da. Van Da is a modern Vietnamese restaurant. Our chef is Hannah Wong, and basically, when I created the restaurant, I thought that there was a missing Vietnamese restaurant that feature dishes that a little bit more harder to find, and also I would say that it's a little bit more. I hate to use the word that it's exotic, but it's definitely a dish that not quite as popular 10 years ago, but American are really looking for something new, and they are actually also open to the idea of food that kind of a little bit more educational, a little bit, so
Sophisticated,
exactly,
yeah.
unique, yes.
Great.
So we opened Vanda.
How long have you been open for?
So it wasn't planned, but the restaurant opened on my birthday, which is March 15, 2019.
And what happened when the pandemic started? And tell me your relationship with Heart of Dinner, with Moonlin and Yin.
Oh, I actually heard of Moonlin. She is very well liked in the community, and we did a little pop-up together in February, and it's also for charity. And I fell in love with her right away. Just very down-to-earth person, and I would say that one of the nicest person that I met, in a way that she is so generous and so sincere, which sometimes nowadays it's hard to find the sincere, down-to-earth person that whatever she says, she mean it. And so I just really met her February before we closed, and then Yin and Moonlin started Heart of Dinner because Chinatown was hitting so hard because of pandemic. People was afraid to go to Chinatown to eat, and so before the pandemic, it was very hot for Chinatown, and that's what they were, that was the first thing that they were working on. And then of course, they see that the senior citizen in that area that really hurting the most.
Was your restaurant hurting at the beginning of the pandemic?
Oh my God, yes. I mean, every restaurant's hurting. The fact is that people are scared to go out, and then it's the shutdown. The problem with restaurant business is that our overhead is so high. I mean, it's incredible. I also have a catering business, and that's really my main business. And then this restaurant, and it blows me away of amount of overhead that it takes for a restaurant to survive.
Has Heart of Dinner helped you in these times?
Well, it keeps us busy creating things, and it keeps us being happy to do something good for the community. I think that the reason we want to be involved with Heart of Dinner is really more than just the fact is that it's a good cause, but I feel like Moonlin and Yin, and I would like to talk about them a little bit, just because I think Heart and Dinner of course the project is so inspirational, and everyone talk about it, but we can't forget who's behind this project. This is their life almost. Every time I talk to them, they work until like 1 a.m. just because the work is so time consuming. Writing things on the bag, telling the story, make sure the senior citizen are, feeling love at this time. So I would say that, we cook one day a week, but this is something they do like, full time. So I want to be involved in it because it's so inspirational. It makes me so happy. It makes me a little bit more, we all have to feel a little bit more human. We need to help each other, and that's why I was involved. I wanted to be near them, I want to basically use them as an example of how, how to care about other people, Yeah, so that's kind of how I get involved.
How does it feel to get these back?
Sure。太太，就問你，如果收到啲食物啊，我哋嚟同你打招呼，你覺得點樣感法點樣喎？
你做翻譯咯
係我做翻譯。
我唔識講。Hello。
Hi。
我好開心，因為你哋嘅飯呢對我特別佢冇牙，好有營養。呢個就你哋不但食物嘅支持我哋生活，仲有幫助我哋嘅心理輔導，呢好重要。每個星期呢，諗住你哋嚟，好開心。咁咯，又傾下偈咯，因為我成日兩個一齊咯。
好。
我都傾下，你同我翻譯。
Okay，好啊。
好開心。
So what they're saying is like they're really happy about the food, the meals. I think they're very culturally appropriate, like usually rice or noodles, and I think especially for her husband, who like his dentures are not great, his teeth is not great, so I think the meals are very appropriate for him to in terms of what he's able to eat. I think for them it's like really nutritious, and I think what they're telling us is that they look forward to us stopping by every Wednesdays because their children, also a little older, are out of state in Jersey and in California. So they look forward to myself, Michael, stopping by, or folks from CPC stopping by, as a way to kind of really interact with people, right? And I think this couple, we're close to them, but they also call our office, and our senior service staff are able to kind of really provide counseling for them to kind of keep them not feel so isolated. So I think that's so they're really excited about every time someone stops by to kind of really drop off some food.
Has this been a bright spot for them in the pandemic?
你覺得即係呢個心理好啲嘅話係咁點啊
？Very good, very good, very happy because they are like my son 仲好，仲 happy 我個仔冇咁好。
I think they're also teasing us, they're really excited to see myself and Mike that we're families now. I think being that we've been stopping by for the past 10 months, and I think for us we've kind of built that relationship also, and we're happy to make sure that they feel well, that they feel fulfilled, and that just really generally happy. But sometimes it's on and off because of everything that's going on with the pandemic.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you
你
so
同
much.
我講，你哋仲心理互助我哋嘛？仲有我有困難，我有信我咩要你哋解釋，你同我講埋先。
Okay. She just wants to really add in that I think for the team at CPC, a lot of it's helpful because it's more like counseling for her and her husband. Even something simple just really maybe doing some translations for mail, that type of thing. And I think just continue with just the human interaction that's really helpful for them.
I just want to confirm, so their kids live out of state?
Their kids live out of state, yes, live out of state. So I think myself and Mike are people that they see as often as really anyone right now, and it's hard and over the summer there was an incident where her husband was robbed going to a bank. So I think there was a little trauma there. So we've been helping them kind of go through that with the court cases and everything.
That is so great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you
But
so much.
they're awesome. We're happy to be
仲
here.
有梅主任，我哋10幾年一退休就喺華澤會人事中心長期出去食飯嘅。而家疫情呢，我哋逼住我哋喺屋企，實在係唔開心嚇。 有得你哋咁關心我哋，非常 happy。
Yeah.
你
So
講
yeah,
你
so she wants you want to know like I think they retire. Both of them retired about 12 years ago, and they've been going to our community center, CPC, which is in Sunset Park, and they're all the way here in kind of East New York. So they've been, been going to our center for the past 10 years, but it's past year or so, it's been upsetting, like being that they're not able to travel to see some of their friends, some of their older adult friends, at our center. So, but we've been happy to kind of really have a stop by, and I think she's just kind of really hammering the point that they're happy to have people, have our staff like stop by, volunteers stop by to kind of really drop off and say hello.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So why don't we just start with a quick introduction? You can say your name, and then why don't you also say how you heard and when you heard a part of dinner?
Okay. My name is Diana Gage. I live in Los Angeles. So my mom lives alone in New York, and when COVID hits and when New York City was the epicenter, it was very difficult for someone living in Los Angeles, and I wish I could cook for her or bring her groceries. Elderly's not very tech savvy. They don't have the means to get on the phone, order Instacart, or having like DoorDash or all these delivery services. They rely on physically going to the store, pick up the groceries, and coming home. And like most adults during COVID, we forbid our elderly parents to go out and grocery shop, right? So I was searching around in New York and looking for something, and dare not dream there's something like Heart of Dinner like already in existence. So when I saw it on Instagram, it was in August of 2020, and I immediately loved their mission. It was to fight food insecurity and to fight isolation, two very important issues that's exacerbated by the pandemic. So when I saw the half foods, the beautifully decorated bags and the cards, I want to be involved right away.
Perfect. Tell me, what did you start doing? So I understand you reached out to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you talk me through that? What did you ask them? And then as far as your mom, and then how did you and your family become involved with the organization?
Okay. Okay. So I emailed Ian from Heart of Dinner, and I wrote to her, my mom lives alone in New York, I live in Los Angeles, and I wish there's a way I could sign her up. And I wasn't even sure how, what's the criteria. But there were three things I wanted to accomplish. One was to sign my mom up so she has a steady supply of food. Number two, I want to donate money to this very important cause. And number three, I wanted to volunteer to write these cards. I'm a little embarrassed to admit that I did the first two. The last one, we actually have done like 50 cards, but I still haven't had the time to go to the post office to mail them. But Ian, they are coming. And so that's how we got involved. In the beginning, it was through GoFundMe, but I prefer to just be able to donate in a very steady monthly basis. And Heart of Dinner took that suggestion, and they put a monthly donation button. So it's very easy for them, for us, with their loved ones living in New York, you could click on the button, make a monthly donation, and ensure that your elderly, parents could have this kind of wonderful people and nutritious food delivered to their doorstep once a week. And when Yin wrote back, she has all these questions just very thoughtful. Things like how do you want your mom to have the food delivered? Does she want contactless? Does she want them to leave the food at the door and walk away, call her, or do you want them to stay there and wave? Do you want them to stay a little bit and chat? And it just goes to show you how much thought and love they put into these moments of companionship they know that our seniors desperately need during the pandemic.
What does it mean to you to know that even though you can't physically be there, someone is there for your mom?
So my mom is a very outgoing, gregarious, funny lady. And for years, she volunteered at the local libraries, colleges, and museums, promoting Chinese art. She taught, calligraphy. She taught Chinese nodding, line dancing. And so during this pandemic, she feels imprisoned by me into her apartment. So she really enjoys talking to the volunteers that come to her doorstep. And I think they started having Mandarin Chinese lessons where she teaches them one sentence a week, and she would quiz them. And sometimes they would bring her library books that people donated, and it becomes this blossoming friendship for her, which is such a wonderful and loving gesture coming from these young volunteers in New York.
That's awesome. Could you just show me the letters and did you and your family do this together, or you and your daughter? Could you just walk me through them a little bit?
Sure. So my daughter and I did this because she actually is fluent in Mandarin. We make sure of that. And she's very proactive in trying to learn because she wants to be able to talk to her grandma. She calls her ama, which is grandma in Taiwanese. And here it says, 祝你身体健康, wish you health. And she drew a picture of her ama here. And here it says, 爱你, and then we write it in English up here too. It says, love you. This one, a friend of mine, Jingo, wrote for us. And here it says, 我们在想你, we miss you. So it's just, every card is just different and handwritten. This one, I drew a phoenix. And here it says, 祝你身体健康, wish you health as well. So here, this is a friend of hers who doesn't write Chinese, but they want to help as well. So then they wrote, you rock, and we wrote in, 你好棒, so our elderlies could understand. So, and this is another one from Jingo. 在远方爱你想着你, even from afar we love you and we miss you. And so it's every card is just different. It's a lot of thought, and we wish we could hand deliver these cards to you, Mom, and to all the gongong, popo, shushu, and we can't. So this is just what we could do from afar, and we hope you stay warm and stay fed and happy and healthy.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I think that's pretty much all that I had. You could not have put it better. The message I was trying to get from you here on just how special this has been for your family, for your mom. And is there anything else you really wanted to add that I missed or that we didn't cover?
But I think it's just in the underlying tone. I just wanted to say, the services of Heart of Dinner provides, what they provide nourishes not just their body, not just with food.
Oh, that's great. Say that to the camera.
Yes. Okay, wait, hold on, let me practice. I was gonna say the services that Heart of Dinner provides, nourishes our elderly members, not just with food, but with love. And it really helps send a message that we all collectively care about them.
Would you mind saying, actually, instead of the elderly, my mom, because I wanted to hit home that it's not just, and you know, for you it's personal because it's your mom who's also getting this.
Okay. Wait, just say my mom and not anyone else?
You can add also, you know, my mom and others, yeah, but just mention that it's also your mom.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, and the services that Heart of Dinner provides nourishes my mom and others, not just with food, but with love. And it really helps send a message that we all care collectively about them, even from afar, and even when we can't see them for over a year now, and we miss you so much.
Okay, we're good. That's great. This requires a lot of lower body strength. Okay.
I have none of that during the pandemic.
He handmade all of these, like cut like from scratch. Color paper, starts cutting everything. So much to basically honor the ox year for Lunar New Year. To make, you know, those famous so usually our red envelopes, we have money in it. So for this, she put warm wishes. So that's really thoughtful of her. She created every single thing and folded it like origami, and she just every single piece.
Thank you so much. See you. Happy day 6. Yes.
Is this it, just these two? Or?
Yeah, because it's 24 plus the one.
Right, okay.
Bye, Jasper.
Bye.
So good to see you.
My week was okay. How was yours? No, I'm kidding.
We can still do it.
I know.
We'll take a picture of it and write it. I think there's always like one.
Oh,
There's always one.
Yes.
Can I have yours?
I see you in the car. So I texted you. Can you please come up? Is that okay? Awesome. Thank you so much. Russo Aang and her entire team at Party Bus Bake Shop, they've made these most delicious milk toast breads that are all culturally thoughtful, by the way. They did all the research and kept testing it till it was perfect. Till you can see right here. It smells so good. There are some pieces, sometimes, if we're lucky, you can see on the edges the piece of the scallion. They're beautiful. At the same time, we were hearing news about our elderly facing food insecurity and
return evaporated.
That definitely was probably the final straw where we were all on board that my brother would have definitely have shown up for his.
Okay, now I'm gonna run down the stairs.
Paper. Let me give you the paper.
Of you getting ready to go.
Okay, perfect. And we'll text Issa when we're ready to go to Saratoga.
Perfect.
Okay, great. Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
哋都呢附近，我哋嚟呢附近都係好多，都有7、8個。OK，
多謝你先。
身體健康 ，OK， 新年快樂
Thank you，Thank you。OK，
拜拜。I really need touchscreen gloves. Huh? Maybe someone's gonna get me touchscreen gloves. Oh, 太太你好 ，Yeah。佢哋影我相送唔係影你啊。
I can cover her with the tree.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to be in.
多謝晒，OK， 多謝，OK， 多謝。
喂，你好。They look good. They don't look good. I thought they looked good. They do look good. Deep. You good?
Can I just...
佢哋電台，佢同你傾個偈，睇有啲咩幫助咁樣。
哦，靚小姐。
慢慢唔緊要。呢排點樣啊？
好啲。
好啲嘛？
好啲，因為呢輪呢，除咗你哋之外嚟俾我哋嘅開心同埋心理輔助呢。加埋春節啲朋友好遠咁打電話嚟。
哦，有啲麵包，慢慢。
多謝。哎呀，唔生見到你啦。哦，平平安安啊一年。
平安。唔生。
I'm really happy to see。
多謝你關心你，新年快樂。
長期啊，大家身體健康啊，身體健康啊。
拜拜。